Standard 5, Knowledge, Application, and Integration of Academic Content in the Early Childhood Curriculum. Take just a little time to kind of read through it before we break it down. Early childhood educators have knowledge of the content of the academic disciplines. For example, language arts, literacy, the arts, mathematics, social studies, science, technology and engineering, and physical education, and of all the pedagogical methods for teaching each discipline. So what do you teach? Why do you teach that? Most of you by now, since you're kind of towards the end of educator apprenticeship, you're trying to think of what you might want to teach in the future. Why are you passionate about that? All right. When you become a teacher, you should have good basic knowledge of the content you're teaching. So if you are going to teach math, then you should take a lot of math classes to immerse yourself so that you can know the answers very quickly without having to look them up, okay? There's nothing wrong with looking up things you don't know, but the more you immerse yourself in your content, the better teacher you will be. They understand the central concepts, the methods and tools of inquiry, and the structures in each academic discipline. All right, so when I think of this, I think of breaking down my child development course. Okay, we talk about pregnancy and birth, then we go to infancy, toddlerhood, so on and so forth. So you need to understand that in order to discuss toddlerhood, all right, as a teacher, you need to teach pregnancy and birth. So as I've said many times before, if you are teaching addition, you must do that before you teach multiplication. All right, some things kind of have to come before the others. And then how do you get them excited? How do you get them curious about your topic, about your content? Educators understand pedagogy, including how young children learn and process information in each discipline. So discipline meaning your content area. The learning trajectories for each discipline and how teachers use this knowledge to inform their practice. So say you give a test to a kid and they get a D, D minus. How is that going to inform what you teach next? You should, in actuality, reteach stuff. Okay, so how kids perform, okay, how they're doing in that discipline in your content will inform the teachers as to how well the kids have learned it and whether you can move on or whether you need to help them understand the concepts more. You also want to think about how do kids best learn and process your information. So is that teaching them through their multiple intelligence? Is it giving them group work, independent work? How do kids learn best? And that's going to be different for every kid. What I would definitely suggest, some things that I do, is every lesson is kind of different. I try not to do the same thing more than once in a unit. So I might have a scavenger hunt, then play a video, then read an article and respond, do some partner game, okay? Keep things interesting, keep it fun when you become a teacher, but how best do your kids learn? If you find that they're really engaged with maybe a Jeopardy game, do a Jeopardy game again later in another unit. Lastly, they apply this knowledge using early learning standards and other resources to make decisions about spontaneous and planned learning experiences and about curriculum development, implementation, and evaluation to ensure that learning will be stimulating, challenging, and meaningful to each kids. So I always think about this when we're talking about something in class and a student says, "What about this?" All right, they bring up something that's related, but not necessarily something I was planning to teach that day. And as I always kind of go back to child development, this happens a lot. Oh, during birth, what if this happens? What happens with this situation? So it's definitely important to kind of take your kids' ideas and expand on them, especially if they're curious about it, but still get done as much as you can what you plan to learn about. And it might not happen every day, but it's super important to feed those kids curiosity. All right. And you want to think about um, how you're implementing it. Are you teaching them something new on Fridays and then they're going to forget about it at the weekend? I try never to do tests on a Monday because I want them to kind of have a week of learning and to keep it fresh in their minds and have time to review. All right, evaluate to make sure that those kids are stimulated, they're interested, they're challenged. It's not too easy. It's, oh, we've already done this a million times. I already know how to do this. And most importantly, that it's meaningful. You want that light bulb to go off in their head of, oh my gosh, I understand it. You want the kids to be excited about it just as you are excited about it. The standard, I think, is one of the most important ones because if you are excited and you show that to your students about your content, they will learn to love it too. I am super passionate about FCS. I love it. I think that is so applicable to every day in your life. You have to put on clothes, you have to eat, you have to live in a house, you're usually taking care of kids. All of that is so applicable. So that's why I'm super passionate about it. And I hope that my students understand it and, they can see that I love it and I live it. I go home, I make bread, I take care of kids, I sew stuff. All right. Love your content area so that your students do as well.